Hello everyone, this is Jotto and welcome to the Hearthstone Weekly Show. Now, this week I was going to do something different, but putting that off a bit because new cards got leaked from the next adventure, which is Blackrock Caverns, I do believe. Anyway, so now, I use the term leaked with a grain of salt. Now, there were some leaked cards before GVG, and those were Vojin and Iron Juggernaut, Flame Leviathan, things like that. So, and Trade Prince Gallywix. So, yeah. The thing is that these leaked cards look real. They look real. Like, they are low-resolution shots of in-game Hearthstone, so they look really, like, precise in terms of whether or not they're real. However, because they're from an alpha version, they may change a bit. Like Iron Juggernaut used to be a 6/6 and now it's a 6/5. So yeah, I'm not sure how much you can read into these. However, we can see the card concepts and maybe some of the stats and sort of decide whether or not they're too good or not good enough and things like that. So anyway, there are 5-ish cards. 2 of the spells are a little bit fuzzy though. So yeah, we'll just keep going through these. So, this one is the Blackwing Technician, the first card. These are all on Reddit. Now, what this is a 4-mana 2/4 rare, which if this is an adventure, the rarities actually don't really matter unless it's legendary, because then you can only play 1. Minions that cost 5 or more cannot be played. This is symmetrical. The problem with this thing is that as a 2/4 it dies to every other 4-drop imaginable. But it's interesting. You can play it in an aggro deck, but not in Zoo because it shuts down your Doom Guards. The only thing it shuts down in aggro decks is Loatheb, really. It's a bit low on the stats though, so I don't know. It's good against Druid, but the problem is they might just have 4-drops and then you're pretty much screwed. So I'm not sure how much I like the Blackwing Technician. It's an interesting concept though, it just straight up stopping you from playing anything that costs 5 or more. So interesting card, not sure how good it is. I think it's on the lower end of it, to be honest. Mehron. Now, this is incredibly fuzzy, but yeah, basically it's an 8-mana 8/7. Weird stats there. Normally they're 7/7s or 8/8s. Legendary, it's neutral, and when you draw it, every minion on the board gets its health set to 1. It's like Flame Leviathan, but instead of basically it's Flame Leviathan, but instead of an abomination trigger, it's an equality. Now, that automatically makes it way better than Flame Leviathan for a couple of reasons. 1, when you draw it, it'll have more impact normally, and 2, it doesn't mess up your own board as much, because you can still attack with the things with 1 health. So it does put the initiative in your court instead of his, which was a bit awkward with Flame Leviathan. Now, the problem with something like this is it's an 8-mana 8/7 that dies to Big Game Hunter, and the effect is not consistent in any way. In fact, it's the least consistent type of effect they've ever made, along with Flame Leviathan. So, yeah, take it with a grain of salt in terms of how useful this thing is. I mean, obviously it'll lead to some weird, funny, and lucky moments like Flame Leviathan did, but this is closer to Flame Leviathan as opposed to Iron Juggernaut, and Iron Juggernaut isn't even that good. So if Iron Juggernaut is the top of like where these draw things are, then yeah, I'm a bit skeptical. I mean, I guess Mehron fits in there as well, but that's even worse. So Mehron, not particularly impressed, but definitely a fun card. Now there are 2 cards here, and I can't even read that, so I'm going on to the Reddit thing here. First one is Mind Quickening. Now we don't know the costs of one of them. We know Mind Quickening, 5 mana. You can use your hero power once during your opponent's next turn. I have no idea how that works. I don't know how that works. And can you interrupt people? Can you do it whenever? Because then animations come into it. Can you only do it at certain times? Are there places in the turn you can do it? how does that work? Because this isn't like Magic Online where you have to click OK for your opponent to be able to do something. And same with Yu-Gi-Oh! And things like that. So, I don't know how they're going to do this. It's very complex. I don't think the card is very good, provided I understand the way it works, which is that you pay 5 mana to be able to pay 2 mana on his turn, I think. The problem is that I have no idea how this works, because this mechanic is so radically different from anything they've ever done before. It's like Secret's the hero power. So it's weird. And a lot of people said, oh, they'd never make something like that, it's fake. But then back when the GVG cards were spoiled, you got Trade Prince Gallywix, which everyone thought infinitely looped because we didn't realize that the coin that he gave you was different. So yeah, it's mechanics which they're trying to re-add in, and Mind Quickening is an interesting one. I'm not sure how good it is or how bad it is, because I don't know how the mechanic works. My first sort of thought is that it's terrible because it costs 5 mana. But I don't know. I actually don't know, because it's difficult to figure out what it does. That's a good one. Anyway, next spell. These are both mage spells. Hourglass Sand. That is a terrible name for a spell. Wow. Anyway, your opponent has 5 or 15. Now the reason it says 5 or 15 is because it says 5 there, but it's difficult. You can't tell if there's a 1 next to it. Basically, your opponent gets Nosdormu on their next turn. Now, I'm guessing the cost is 1, because it would not make sense, unless it's 5. If it's 5, then that's basically skip your opponent's turn because of the way animations work in Hearthstone. In fact, you would have to be very fast to do one thing. And I don't mean attack with something. I mean like either attack or drag something onto the board or drag your hero power, or just something, and you need to play incredibly fast because of the animations. So, I mean, the beginning turn and end turn, the beginning turn animation takes up about 2 to 3 seconds, so yeah, that's how little time you have. You have 2 to 3 seconds if it's 5 seconds. That would be overpowered. 15, however, is just fun, and it's basically the Trump killer, and what you use against Life Coach in a tournament. Well, to be fair, Life Coach can play quickly, he just prefers to play slowly, so I guess Trump. But yeah, 15 seconds is Nosdormu effect, 5 seconds is really ridiculous, so I don't know. That depends on the cost. But it's supposed to just be fun, and I can definitely see that as a fun card. And I'm a competitive player, but I condone fun cards because they're hilarious. I mean, my favorite card from GVG was Hobgoblin, which is just the most insane combo-y card ever, so that just gives you a bit of perspective on that. Speaking of fun cards, the last one that got leaked is the left arm of Kil'jaeden. I'm noticing some Exodia references here. Alright, so it's a 5 mana 4/2 demon, legendary, with Battlecry. If you control the other 4 pieces of Kil'jaeden, you win the game. So yes, it is Exodia. Now, this does not happen when they're in your hand, because you just always play Kil'jaeden and you win. It doesn't happen when it's in your hand, they have to be on the board, which immediately makes this terrible. If they all cost 5 mana, for example, and this isn't like the torso, this is the left arm. So if they all cost 5, it takes you 3 turns to set up this stupid combo. And I guess you could cheat them out with double Void Caller, and then it only takes 2 turns to set it up. Yeah. And then you can't lose anything, one of them's a 4/2. So, obviously not good, but Exodia references are funny. And I actually want to see what the animation is when you win with this thing. You win with your Exodia Kil'jaeden thingamajig. And if this is what Kil'jaeden is, I'm curious as to what they're going to make Archimonde at some point. Because if Kil'jaeden is the I win the game immediately button, then what's Archimonde? Because Archimonde was the... See if I can remember this correctly, lore-wise. I think Archimonde was wasn't he the military leader of the Burning Legion? So I don't know if that makes him more or less powerful, but I guess he'd be some ridiculous like 10 mana, 15/15 crazy thing. Because I mean, Deathwing is a 12/12 that destroys everything, and then Kil'jaeden wins the game immediately. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do with the rest of the stuff. If we ever get Sargeras, that would be hilarious. So, yeah, Kil'jaeden, is Exodia in Hearthstone. You actually have Exodia in Hearthstone, so all the Yu-Gi-Oh players must be very happy about that. Or very sad, depending on your experiences playing as Exodia. But anyway, so out of all the cards that got leaked, there were 5 of them, and a couple were interesting, but most of them are just fun cards, which I'm okay with. It sets a bit of a tone. I mean, Naxxramas was like constructed the set. Most cards in Naxxramas saw some play. There was no middle ground on Naxxramas. There was like 8 or 9 really bad cards, and the rest of them saw a lot of play. So, well, not quite exact numbers, but you know what I mean. So Naxxramas was basically everything is constructed playable or just useless because no one would want to play it in fun decks. Whereas on the other side of the spectrum, based on what we see, Blackrock Cavern's a bit more fun focused, which I'm okay with. Naxxramas had a few too many powerful cards in it, I feel, but it'd be nice to get a couple really good constructed cards out of the adventure, and everyone gets these cards from just buying wings if they do it the same way. And I will say Naxxramas was probably the easiest way of getting cards in Hearthstone, period, because you just save up the gold and just go for it. And if anyone wants to just save up gold, I actually did a preparing for Naxxramas, I did a preparing for Naxxramas video a while ago, and that sort of goes over saving gold and things like that. So if you want to go check that out, then go for it. I'll put it in the description if I remember. Now, before I sign off, tomorrow I am going to record the Paladin games because I have been away for a week. So I have not been able to do the Paladin games. So I will record those tomorrow, get them up, and I'll also do the weekly show I was going to do today, either on Monday or Tuesday. But anyway, thank you all for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe. If you want to talk about the cards or have any feedback, put it in the comment section below. I'll read through all of it. But as for now, this has been Jotto, signing off.